fucking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman, and this is your round 3 recap episode for the Masters. Joining me to break it all down, Greg Ducharme is here. What's going on, Greg?
Man, what a day. This is kind of what we were waiting for. I can't wait for Kyle to get here to join us, because he was talking a little bit about yesterday how firm and fast separates, and how we saw that bunch leaderboard because of conditions firms up a little bit, and we got some serious separation. So, man, I mean, what a clinic today. That was awesome.
Phenomenal stuff. Yeah, so we'll get, I think Mark and Kyle, they're going to join us as soon as they can. So we'll bring them in when they get here. But the storyline for Saturday, for moving day, is Dustin Johnson, who not only entered the round as one of the co-leaders, Greg, but he goes out and shoots the round of the day, a 7 under 65. He did it. Let's see here. He hit every single fairway. He missed, I believe, 2 greens. It's now been 30 holes since he's made a bogey. This was about a stress-free round of major championship golf as I could ever picture.
It went exactly the way you would draw it up. First of all, the driving display was just awesome. So it's hard to overlook that, because it was awesome. And it's a golf course that's a little more open. It feels like the fairways are wider, so it's not as impressive hitting every fairway you'd think. But it was extremely important, right? It's just you can't overlook that. So that's one thing. But the iron play is another thing. And then just the way the whole round comes together, the way you can't script it up any better. You make you leave it under the hole on 1, easy 2-putt. Good, get on 2, and you hit a great shot in there, trying to get it up around the green in 2, hopefully on in 2, and you end up hitting it to 3 feet. And it's like it's just okay. That's a great start. So that eagle there is a bonus, right? I look at that as a complete bonus. 3. You hit the right shot off the tee, and you hit a great little pitch shot up there. It's a hole you give yourself a good look at birdie with that hole location every day. So make a birdie there. Okay, I'm doing what I should. Then it falls in on 4. Now all of a sudden you're 4 under through 4. You've got 2 bonuses already. You probably should be, you 2 under is very doable in that first 4-hole stretch. You're at 4 under, huge bonus. And then on 6, you hit the shot probably one of his worst iron swings, that or maybe 18, hit it way right, and it catches the slope and works out great. You have a 110, 114, I think it was, into 7, and you hit a great wedge shot, and you're off and running. And then the second 9, he just does he does nothing more and nothing less than what you're supposed to do. So it was clinical, and there are a couple of bonuses in there. I'd probably say at least 2 shots that were real big bonuses where you didn't need them. And this round could have just looked like a sleepwalking 67 or 68, and everybody would have been happy. Couple bonuses go in, no mistakes, 65.
From a historical sense, his 200 strokes through 54 holes ties Jordan Spieth's record low for 54 holes. He's gone 10 straight rounds under par at the Masters, which is tied for Tiger Woods for the longest streak in Masters history. And he's going to try to add a second major championship to his resume on Sunday. But Greg, let me pump the brakes just a little bit with this 4-shot lead. This is the 5th time Dustin Johnson has held or co-led a major after 54 holes, and he is 0-for-4. Obviously, a couple of them infamous failures, I guess we would call them. How confident are you in DJ come Sunday?
Maybe not for all of them, but for most of these, I've been very confident. Yeah. He's the best player in the world. He's world number 1. His game is as complete as anybody. We were talking a little bit about before, and we'll get into this, but a lot of these big names like Rory, like Justin Thomas, I can make an argument for Jon Rahm. We'll get there a little bit later, but everybody seems to have that one area that you question, and Dustin Johnson has none of them. until you get to Sunday in a major. And this is where we see, and we have seen a different player, a different Dustin Johnson has come out. So where are we? Well, he's got a 4-shot lead over 3 players. He's at 16. You have 3 players at 12, and a couple of other guys behind that. So at a 4-shot lead, I would say under par, Rick, probably 70 or 71 is probably enough to get the job done. Might need 70, but 71 might get it done. And then, so what's the high round? If everything goes wrong for him tomorrow, what does that round look like? And this is not 2010, Rick. He's not going to go shoot 82 tomorrow. If everything goes wrong, I see him shooting at Augusta National. He's clearly comfortable out there. You got these par 5s that he can handle in his sleep, it seems. Yeah. I got to think the bad round for him, everything goes wrong, is 73, 74. I don't see it getting worse than that.
We're gonna talk a lot more about Dustin Johnson and prospects for tomorrow, especially when the rest of the guys get here. But real quick, you mentioned the chase group. You mentioned the 3 guys at 12 under par: Sungjae Im, Abraham Ancer, Cam Smith, all notably on that International President's Cup team. I mean, I've been impressed with all of these guys. We mentioned what competitors they are all week. You know, Cam Smith, this guy, he plays his final 4 holes in 5 under par. He's been phenomenal, and I don't know if they're going away. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. They're 4 shots back. They're in the chase group. It's not like they're sleeping on a lead or anything like that, but I don't really see them going anywhere. Do you?
No, I don't. So I think it was yesterday he played he played 15 through 18 in 5 under. And
he played his last 6 in 3 under. That's my bad. Yeah.
Right. So, but point is, you forget about Cam Smith all day, and you play 12 straight holes with all pars, and you're sitting there at 9, and you're just staying at 9, and DJ's running, and everybody forgets about Cam Smith, makes 3 quick birdies, and all of a sudden he's a part of the story. I mean, another round of 69 for him tomorrow could maybe put him in position. He could be the guy that wears a green jacket because of a disaster at hole number 12, right? Which can happen. It can happen in 1 shot at Augusta.
Danny Willett found himself slipping on a green jacket after a couple of bad strokes.
Hanging around. Mm-hmm. So Cam Smith's impressive. And I think looking at his round, there's a lot to learn. Like a guy like Justin Thomas, to me, could learn a lot from this patience. Yeah. Which is interesting. It should be flipped, right? Cam Smith should be learning from JT. But anyway, he's been really impressive. I love where he is. An answer to me, and we spoke about this yesterday, Rick. I love what Abraham Ancer has done. It's just been so impressive. I love the kid, and he's such a good, strong, fiery competitor. And he did exactly what he had to do today. So really cool to see. But the Sungjae Im, I mean, Rick, this is your boy. Talk to me about Sungjae Im.
I mean, listen, it was short game. It was short game magic for Sungjae, right? He had 9 1-putts, I believe. He chipped in on 11, which was
sweet.
I mean, that's stealing from where he was. That might be stealing 2 strokes from where he was. Super awkward spot. Yeah, I mean, he's solid, right? And I don't know where he's going, if he's going away, right? I mean, you have to remember the evolution and the career progression on a very young player like Sungjae Im is being awesome on the Korn Ferry Tour, is being your PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. It's showing up at the President's Cup. It's being a PGA Tour winner. And every step of the way, Greg, his peers have raved about his game, right? Every step of the way. And to win at Honda, at PGA National, which is very difficult, especially the closing holes, he didn't fade, right? He steps up to it. So I'm interested to see how he does basically for the first time, Sunday in contention at a major championship.
And you have a little bit of this isn't to take away, but it's a perfect storm for these young guys. You have no patrons, and it has an effect. It's a little bit softer coming in. I'm not saying there's no pressure because there's no patrons, but there's something about a roar at Augusta National when a Dustin Johnson or a Tiger Woods or a Rory McIlroy gets on a run, and you don't just hear it, but you feel it. And that changes your body, right? Your heart rate changes. And Mark can speak about this. The palms start to sweat a little bit, and all of a sudden you're physically in a different form than you were 5 minutes ago. And that's something that takes time to learn. This is a little bit more of a soft welcome. So it definitely benefits these three players at 12 under.
All right, we've got the crew here. Mark Immelmann has just joined us. Kyle Porter has just joined us. Let me bring them in. Mark Immelmann, we'll start with you. We've talked about DJ. We've talked about the chase pack a little bit. Let me just get your thoughts on a great moving day at Augusta National.
It was a fantastic moving day. Trusting you can hear me pretty well, right? My sound is good. Yeah, the moving day was awesome. It was nice to see the golf course sort of take on the personality of Augusta National that we all know and love, you know, a little faster on the greens, a little firmer on the greens, allowing these undulations to have a bit more of an effect. And so that was fun to see. And to me, it separated the pack just a little bit. And it didn't, and it highlighted who was hitting the ball the right distance, who was making the smart decisions. And DJ, honestly, was in a class of his own. The way he played today was atypical of the Hall of Fame career he's assembling. It looked complete today, the way he played, the way he drove the golf ball, the way he struck his irons. Obviously, the putting was on point, but the thing that was the most impressive to me was just the comfort level he put together. And in a major championship, Greg referenced the fact that the palms get sweaty and the heart rate elevates and that sort of thing. Dustin looked completely in control the entire time. And it's not often you get a stress-free round in a major championship, and certainly not very often you get a stress-free round at Augusta National. And that was about as stress-free as I've seen. So I count myself kind of fortunate to have seen a performance like that, because it was one of a kind.
It was complete. He was unflappable. It was every single fairway. It was all but 2 greens. Kyle Porter, I'm assuming that all of this led to you hovering that little Twitter finger over the button and press and tweet on the vincecarter.gif.
It's over. You know what I didn't have my phone with me. You know when I wanted to tweet it?
Tell me.
The shot he hit into 2.
Oh my God.
and I, you know, I'm doing this whole thing like, we got to be patient with DJ. We never know what's going to, and then he hits the shot into 2 and it's like, well, that's a wrap. Cause and Mark's right. He is so, and Rory talked about this on, I think it was Friday night after playing with him. Said, look, like basically, he didn't say these words, but he basically said his vibe is aspirational. Like, and we've talked about this. His greatest superpower is forget the hole before, forget the round before, and on to the next one. And, you know, I think it's fitting, and I'm glad that Mark, one of us at least, picked him, because I think it's fitting that DJ would win like the most laid back Masters of all time. I was out there all day. It was not intense. It was not, there's always a kind of a mood or like a shift in the aura at Augusta National on Saturday afternoon when the leaders go off. That didn't happen on Saturday because there's nobody out there. And for the players, they might feel it a little bit more, but you didn't get that intense vibe. And I think it's kind of fitting that DJ would lead and potentially win maybe the most laid-back Masters of all time.
You know, you mentioned the shot on 2. And I would add number 4 to that, the putt that he made on 4. And Kyle, I was thinking of you and what you talked about, how you just hit it at the middle of the greens on par 4s, take advantage of par 5s. If you get a couple putts to go, it's a bonus. And by the time he got through number 4, he already had a bonus eagle on number 2. Right, it's a great shot, but you don't need that. You need to make 4 there. He makes 3, so that's a bonus. And then on 4, you get that putt to go, and making 2 on 4s is another bonus. So you at that point, if you just take care of the par 5s the rest of the way, which he did, you have a great round. It takes a lot of stress away.
Yeah, totally.
We're gonna obviously talk. Good.
Even his bad shots were good. He hit a ball on 6 that was not on his line. It was out to the right, and it hits that slope on the 6th green going up to the right kind of tabletop up there, and it just shoots it all the way back down to the left. And he has an under the hole putt for birdie. He didn't make a 2. He made a 3 there, but even his shots that were up and the drive on 8, oh my gosh, I think it was like 353, and he didn't even look at it. I mean, it was almost as if the deeper he took it, the more relaxed he got, and it was pretty awesome. It was a really impressive performance.
333 yards piped down the middle of the fairway at number 8 on Saturday. We're going to talk more about Dustin Johnson, but I want to talk about the number 2 and number 3 player in the world. And Mark, we're going to start with Justin Thomas, and we'll bring Greg into this in a second. But, you know, Greg and I were talking before we went hot about the way that Justin Thomas's second 9 went for him. He ends up bogeying 4 of his last 7. And the question we had was, maybe he got a little aggressive. Maybe he tried to take on shots that he didn't need to as he started looking at the scoreboard, seeing Dustin Johnson extend a little bit, and then Augusta National sneaks up and bites you.
Perhaps there was a bit of that, but I just saw a Justin Thomas that didn't really look like he had the control that he ordinarily does. I mean, he missed a few tee shots that looked late to me. And, you know, with a guy who's got such a vigorous body action through the ball because he's slightly built, and he can propel this thing a long ways, you're walking on a knife edge all of the time. And when you got that hard rotation, if the club's just slightly behind you, the face is going to be late. And it's kind of like a baseball player turning on a fastball too early. And I saw some of that with the longer things. And then when you start to miss 1 or 2, then that thing starts to creep into the psyche a little bit. And I saw situations where then he's trying to catch up and save. So you're out of time, and then you have to square one, sort of engineer contact with the hands and wrists a little bit more. And that's when you start to feel like, oh my goodness, it's going in 2 directions. So certainly perhaps he was getting a little bit more aggressive. I don't think the time was warranted. There's a lot of time. If you just keep DJ within arm's length, then, you know, anything's possible. I mean, what does the cliche go that the Masters doesn't begin until the second 9 on Sunday afternoon? And it's true. You know, they set the way they set up that second 9. Someone can get busy and shoot 30, 31, or whatever the case might be. So I think he was battling the golf swing some. He told us that in round 2. He said, I didn't have my best stuff, but I put together a pretty good round. And today, with just, you know, that east-northeasterly on certain holes was a bit more cross. And that may expose a person that's just mistiming the golf swing a little bit.
My Masters doesn't start until Bryson calls a rules official. So Friday afternoon.
Then we're off and running. Greg, you and I were talking about this before we went hot. So I want to bring you into this Justin Thomas second 9 conversation.
I believe so DJ's doing what he's doing, and I'm watching Justin Thomas behind him. And on the first 9, he's staying really patient. He looks great. Sound coming off his iron strikes is just awesome. I don't know if Kyle's got a chance to hear that in person, but on TV, it sounds like he's just flushing it.
I'll let you go and take a cold shower after you got a close up of the stuff.
So it was looking great. Anyway, then he turns, and on number 12, he makes that sloppy bogey. And all of a sudden, it's like he's got to get a little more aggressive. He answers with birdie at 13, but then he really goes, I think, a little too aggressive at 14, overcooks it, misses it left where you can't miss it on 14. I mean, he's lucky the chip shot that he hits. I mean, there are times I've seen that shot go 80 feet away. It gets down the next tier, and all of a sudden it's on the other side of the green. So I think a little over aggressive on 14, and on 15, trying to hit the big hook. It just looked to me like he's trying to make eagle. Like he's trying to hit it. He's trying to knock it to a foot, where you play your shot, a little bit less of a draw there. And all of a sudden you make an easy 4, and you play to the fat of the green on the right-hand side and do your work for a difficult 2-putt. But, you know, you make 4, and all of a sudden you're sitting at 12 or maybe 13 under right now. And you're right there.
Greg, I hear you, but I want to pitch that back at you just with an observation. That hook shot he hit into 15. You know, you want to try and turn one in there to that hole location. A guy who's underneath and a little late, a guy who likes to fade the golf ball under pressure. If that club's behind you and you're trying to draw one, then you start to get busy with your forearms through contact, and you swing to the right of a shutting face. You can turn that sucker over quickly, especially if you're going at the speed he is. So I hear you. Perhaps he went to something to the right side of the green. But if you miss timing stuff, and you're having to try and manufacture a hook, you know, that stuff can go wrong with adrenaline going and a whole lot of speed.
So you're thinking it was his golf swing got out of sorts, more so than his decision-making.
Yeah, well, look, the decision-making, perhaps it was a little aggressive, you know, because And look, I'm assuming. I'm telling you what I saw. I don't know for certain. I haven't heard what he had to say.
Right.
What I saw was a guy who was sort of fighting some of the directional issues on the backside because the golf swing was a bit mistimed.
Yeah, JT to me was probably one of the biggest disappointments of this Saturday moving day. The other, I guess, KP has to be Jon Rahm. I mean, he goes out, he shoots an even par round of 72, but the low light we're going to see on all the reels is cold top on 8 on the par 5, and then he hits a tree and it goes into the bushes over there. I mean, it got pretty ugly. He ends up taking a double bogey, and he makes a couple birdies coming in, but just never really got it going.
Yeah, first I'd like to apologize to Mark for being excited about the Masters. So I'll try to dial it down next time. Yeah, I was on 8 with Rahm, and the second shot. So he almost hit somebody with his third shot
Off the tree.
Off the tree.
Yes, those two people over there had to duck out of the way.
Yeah, so that was I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. That was a member and his wife, and they almost got smoked. And he was so mad about. So I don't know if the camera picked this up, but after he hit that, he started hollering about how he was like freaking mud balls all week, and I just got 2 in a row. And he's just yelling, and then he stomps over and he kind of goes off cam, and he did this at Winged Foot too. He did this at the U.S. Open where he takes the club and acts like he's going to snap it over his leg, and he did that, and then he starts just cursing in Spanish for like 30 seconds, and I don't know how much of the TV picked all this up, but it was like people were backpedaling, and there was only 10 people out there, and they were 20 feet away from it. It was a roller coaster for sure. So yeah, he just, he didn't hit the ball very well. He was kind of all over the place. Did he end up shooting 72, 71?
Yeah, 72.
It felt like a 76 as you're watching it unfold. He got one back, I think, on 14, and then he might have birdied 15 as well. But honestly, it was a little impressive that he shot 72 given how he was hitting it. It's just the problem of now you're down 7 to DJ going into Sunday. That's not going to happen.
We are seeing the evolution of Jon Rahm's game, Greg. I mean, he won the Memorial, he won the BMW Championship. I mean, we're seeing him rise to the occasion. Yet to see it in a major championship. There seems to also he has a shank or a cold top more in his bag more often than any other top pro, right?
It's always on 8.
It's always on 8. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's
I guess a bad omen. You're right. We have seen a cold shank out of him, and now a cold top hook. I mean, that top hooked it over into the trees there. Most of the time, if you hit a top with a fairway wood on a par 5, 8, the second shot on 8 with a 3-wood or something, it's the perfect time to hit a cold top, because it's just going to roll up there and you're likely okay. You hit an iron up near the green, work for a 5. You have a chance at making a 4, but this top hooked. So you don't see that very often, the cold top hook. But what he did after that, I thought was, I guess Kyle has a much better vantage point than me, but I didn't see that stuff on cam. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it just wasn't there, but I didn't see that reaction. And I actually, watching on TV, I thought he handled himself pretty well considering how bad that just went. So it's interesting to hear your viewpoint there, Kyle.
So also on 9, when he teed off, there was a cart that was running, I don't know, 50 yards behind us, and it kind of sped up right as he teed off, and he was yelling about that. So I think that there's 2 things going on. One, he's pissed and he's showing it, but then also he's not getting out. He's still hitting golf shots. He's still kind of staying in his game. So I think that,
right.
I think we've turned this Rahm thing into oh, well, he's just calm now. So he doesn't blow up. So he's playing better golf. Well, no, he's still blowing up. He's just not hitting bad golf shots after that. And he's the second best player in the world. So I think both things can kind of be true at the same time.
Maybe cursing for 30 seconds is his way of just getting it all out there and resetting.
Yeah. Well, Tiger had a rule where in 10 shots, he had 10 steps to be as mad as he wanted. He could throw a club. He could swear. Unfortunately, he didn't have the command of the Spanish language of Jon Rahm, but he could throw a club, use whatever language he needed to. 10 steps later, he's on to the next shot. And maybe doesn't sound like it, Kyle, but maybe Jon Rahm's getting to that point where it's okay to be mad. It just can't leak into your next shot.
Yeah, I think, and we've talked about this. I think where it kind of leaked in the past is maybe the decision making, right? And his caddy even told him, like, hey, take your time here. Take your time. And I thought that part was interesting because I think that's where, yeah, you can still be pissed, and he still is. We need to not say that he's not, because he definitely is. But as long as it doesn't affect the next shot, then who cares?
We are giving away a television. Gentlemen, we're giving away a 55-inch smart TV, and here's what you need to know if you'd like a chance to win. The contest is completely free to enter. To win, just go to cbssports.com/firstcutgiveaway. That link is in the description of the episode if you are watching on YouTube, and of course, it's in the podcast description on all podcast platforms. This contest ends November 23rd, so the winner will get to watch the next Masters only 5 months away in crispy high definition, and that next Masters, Mark, is probably going to feature Rory McIlroy going for a career Grand Slam unless he pulls something out of his hat on Sunday. Rory's got a lot of work to do, but he's now put together rounds of 66, 67, and only Rory can do this thing where he shoots a 66 or 67, and you'll wonder if he left 3 shots out there.
Yeah, the thing that I've always said about Rory and all of my experiences in watching him, there's been one round. It was the final round at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I think it was 2 seasons, maybe 3 ago, when he shot a final round of 64. I was on covering the group, and it's the most sublime round of golf I've ever laid my eyes on. And I've called JT's 59. I've seen some stuff in my days, face on, right? And that round that McIlroy played, it just came so easy. But bar that, every round that I've always seen out of Rory, it's always looked like he signed for something higher than what it should have been. When you get certain golfers, like whenever Tiger plays, he's signing for something lower than what it should have been. There's certain golfers that have just have that sort of grind, that junkyard thing about them where they'll grind out something. Rory, the last couple of days, has been the guy that everybody told us he was in the practice days. He said as much. Phil Mickelson said as much. Everyone that played alongside him in the practice days said, this guy is just off the charts right now, the way he's hitting the thing. And I'm on the Immelmann corner coverage, and he gets out early, makes a few birdies, then birdies 10, which is a big-time birdie, right? Gets to our tee, and there's a little wind over the left shoulder, helping some, but just enough to aggravate a right-hander, because a wind across your back, a golfer will typically get a little, want to sort of engineer stuff a bit too much. And he gets down there and just laces this tee shot like 130 feet in the air, as straight as raw spaghetti, like 350 down the middle of the fairway. And I looked at this, I'm like, this boy is on song now. And I was waiting for him to really accelerate. He hit the thing on the edge of the green, kind of iffy, makes a par. Then the next hole, skins one in the bunker and holes out. And now I'm like, okay, this is going to be silly low now. And all of a sudden, then he makes a 3-putt bogey on the par 5 and sort of fumbles his way to the end of the round, which was 67. And I use the word fumble, respectfully. And so, yes, it's reinforced the idea to me. And, bearing Dustin and Justin and Jon Rahm and all these guys in mind, when Rory is on, it is just something different. And we saw some of that today. And will he do something extra special different today? And will Dustin Johnson do a Greg Norman? Well, who knows? The future is yet to be told. But I have no doubt that if McIlroy is able to find that gear, and he does it well here around Augusta National, that perhaps in April he might do it. If not, that Mount Grand Slam is going to become all the more steep to climb.
The 3-putt from 9 feet on 13 that Mark references is going to be what everybody points to, because he gets to 13, birdieing 4 of his last 5, Kyle. And I want to kind of frame it like this for you too. First round in major championships since the beginning of 2015, Rory McIlroy has played them 28 over par. Rounds 2 through 4, 61 under, courtesy of Justin Ray. Is this round 1 thing a thing?
I mean, that's what, 5 years worth of evidence?
20 majors or so?
I think, and what's so interesting, somebody brought this up. I can't remember who it was. Somebody on Twitter brought it up, but I think it used to kind of be the opposite, right? He would be the front runner. And Mark talked about this a little bit, even as it relates to Augusta. Like if he front runs, it's over. Like it's going down. But yeah, the last 5 years have not been great. And now we're left with kind of two paths for him. The first is that he's Ernie Els at Augusta, right? Where he like has all these close calls and it never happens. And he just gets kind of disenchanted with the tournament, like Ernie did. And then the second is that he is basically Sergio or an Adam Scott, where he wins after his, I mean, so few guys have won after their 13th try. I think there's like 4 guys that have done that. Or 12 try. What was that?
When did Phil win?
I can find out.
9, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. So there's only been like 4 guys that have won after 12 tries. So it's either Ernie Els or Sergio. And if he's Sergio and he wins really late in terms of how many tries he's had, then he gets the career slam. And if he's Ernie Els, then obviously he doesn't. So I think it seems sort of like DJ. It seems so obvious that this should have happened, and yet it hasn't. And at some point you have to kind of reconcile the fact that it hasn't and maybe isn't going to over the course of his career.
I want to get Greg's take on this, and I want to make a statement, then get his response to this, because I'm interested in coming at this from a golf instruction point of view. And Rory made a comment early in the week that to me, it seemed like he'd kind of unshackled himself from this burden that is achieving the career Grand Slam. And he said, look, because someone asked him, okay, so what happens if you don't win? And his response was something to the effect of, well, if I don't win, that's okay. And I'm comfortable with not achieving the Grand Slam because everything in golf has been great. Now, he wants to be the leading European Tour golfer. He's said as much, or European golfer. So that means he's got to pass by Nick Felder and get to 7 majors. But that statement, Greg, where he was like, I'm okay with not achieving that. Do you feel like if you were advising a young golfer and he says to you, okay, I'm okay with what I've done and everything else is a bonus, do you feel like this frees them up? Or is that kind of just a bunch of smoke and mirrors?
I understand that frees them up mindset, but do you think Tiger Woods would say, I'm okay if I don't win? How about Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky? Or, I mean, name a great athlete. Name a world-class, best of their generation, a GOAT. Name a GOAT. None of them have that attitude. They hate losing. And I don't know. Look, maybe it's hard to win, and I understand that, but there's definitely a pressure there, and it's the longer that he goes, and the more that attitude creeps in, and the more okay that it is that he doesn't win, and almost, I mean, it gets harder. But there's a very fine line in golf between, well, you're not getting the results you want, work harder. Right. In basketball, go practice your free throws more, spend more hours in the gym practicing free throws, and your free throws will get better. Golf there's a tipping point where you can over try. See Jordan Spieth, right? Maybe you're working too hard. So there's a balance, I'm for sure. But you're talking about a career Grand Slam. There are so few people who have done this and achieved this, and it takes a very special individual to do it. Because, I mean, look at the players who haven't done it. So I don't know. I would like to see a little more fire out of Rory. I'd like to see a little more almost anger in the sense that, hey, I'm not letting this happen again. This is my tournament, and I'm going to do what Dustin Johnson is doing this week.
I think that is true of him as a person, that he's okay with not winning it. But I think it becomes, I think it's not true, like when the first round starts. And so you have these things that are kind of like diverging against one another, and it creates this like weird chaos where it just affects the way he plays in the first round. Like I think 51 weeks out of the year, I think he's okay. Like he's fine as a person. But then I think this 1 week, it really does matter a lot. And when you try to like Tiger, it was 52 weeks of the year. It matters a lot. And with Rory, I think it's not really like that because he's, I think, just mentally in like a more relaxed place. And so it creates a weird sort of aura, I think, the week of the actual tournament. And
it's not just the Masters. We got to see a similar situation at Royal Portrush last year, where it meant, I mean, he remarked that it meant more to him than winning a green jacket at the time because it's in Northern Ireland. And I mean, the tournament goes away on the first swing. So those high pressure moments, and these are pressure moments that nobody really gets to face. It's not like everybody has a chance at these moments. So it's an accomplishment just to get to this place where he is. But these moments have given him a really hard time. And I think it's a good point, Kyle. There's kind of this, yeah, I don't really care if I win or not. But at the same time, he's thinking, yeah, this is going to be the time that I do win. So let me go. Yeah, but I can do it this time. I don't care, but I'll do it this time.
Speaking of GOATs, Tiger Woods shoots an even par round of 72, Mark, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys. After his round, he said, I think this was to Amanda Balionis, I'll have to double check it. He said, I can walk all day. The hard part is bending and twisting. I play golf recreationally, Mark. I think bending and twisting is quite important.
It is. Yes, the truth. And this is I can speak with experience. I'm 50 now. And you just don't have the mobility you used to, even if you're working out in the gym. And for a guy who's had a back fusion, this is going to happen. And there's been multiple press conferences that he's done where he's had a tweak or whatever, and someone asks him about it, because that's like the first question. It's kind of like asking Jason Day, are you okay? Tiger will go, well, the back fusion, the torque and the pressure has to go somewhere. And today we had him for 3 holes, and it looked to me the way he was bending down, there was sort of through his hips or his lower back or something like that. So that torque has to go somewhere. The truth of it is that his swing looked unlabored. He looked like he was swinging fine. He hit a tee shot down 11 that he unloaded like 179 mile an hour with a ball speed. That's not coming out of a guy who's swinging protectively. And so I don't know what to make of it. It's more a situation again where you see Tiger Woods come out and put together a very stout opening round, bogey free. He put all the pieces together using his terms. But then from there, you see a guy when it's not going so well, the person who's played a bunch, they'll make something of it. He sort of got 72 in, if you will. And it was the same deal today. Wasn't able to make much inroads. So I'm still looking towards a guy who needs to play a little more often before he gets to these big events, so that you have that understanding, that feeling of the flow of the round about you. But certainly you could see he was he wasn't a little pain today.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that were very clear. I think we've seen some stuff over the last day and a half that we've seen a lot from Tiger in 2020. But Kyle, I also think that like his brain at Augusta National might be worth a shot around. I mean, he does some things that I'm just like, oh my God. Like even if the shots aren't all there, he's mentally there, of course. And I wonder if this is what we're going to see at Augusta National every year. He's going to give us some good stuff. He's going to give us some bad stuff. And I don't know what to make of it all.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. And again, what did he shoot today? Was he 71?
72.
I think it's, and we talked about this on Friday, it's almost a 3-round tournament for him. Just get it to Sunday, right? And then anything can happen. And so, I think it'll be interesting if he had 2 good rounds. I thought first round, second round were good. He was in a decent spot, but he needed that 3rd good round in a row just to get it to Sunday. And then he can kind of mentally get himself around the place. I think he suffers from the lack of patrons, but not in the way that you might expect. People would say, oh, well, he's not carried by the momentum and by the crowd and by the noises. And that might be true, but I think it also, it disproportionately affects him that there's not as much tension, right? There's not as much going on with everybody else because he handles that and I think leverages it so well like he did last year. And it's just not there this year. Like he's unable to leverage the tension against, the rest of the field, guys like Abraham Answer and Cameron Smith, to his benefit. And I think that I don't know that if you play out a patronless Masters 100 times, I just don't know how many of those he's going to win. And I didn't think about this until today because of the lack of tension on the weekend.
I like that.
Oh, that's a good call.
Yeah. You know, I looked at his round today real quick, and I don't think that it's a physical thing. I mean, he did everything to make this a very, very good score. He gets on the wrong side of the hole on number 2, a wedge shot that gets past. Horschel and Fowler are underneath the hole. They make easy putts. He has to be defensive, and, you know, he ends up squatting his knees and grimacing because it's so close. That happens on downhill putts, especially around here. So he could have had one there. Number 3 hit a great putt from perfect position, kind of gets a bad bounce on number 4. I mean, maybe it's the expected bounce, but, you know, it kicks through the green on 4, and then he 3 putts 8, and the pitch out from the woods kind of goes into a second cut that you're not used to. He's questioning the distance. My point is, he was very close to this being around where he's sitting at 9 under par. And to Kyle's point, if there's patrons around and he leaves it under the hole on 2 and makes it, and the putt drops on number 3, and all of a sudden he's early on a Saturday morning getting a little momentum going, we don't know what DJ's done at this time. The place would be going nuts. So I do think it's a great point, Kyle, and the tension level would definitely have risen.
All right, gentlemen, it's about that time. Dustin Johnson, 16 under par, 4 shots clear of the chase pack. Mark, we'll start with you. I guess describe a scenario in which this is not a 5-hour victory lap for Dustin Johnson around Augusta National tomorrow.
If he gets out and he plays the first 6 holes, 7 holes, because that's sort of, they can be a bit perilous. You know, you can get tripped up on 1 a little bit. You can certainly get tripped up on 4 and 5, and 6 with where the hole location will be cut. You can get into trouble there. And 7, you know, you can make a bogey pretty quickly there if you're not careful. If he plays those holes, maybe 1, 2 over, and someone who's in that chase back gets busy and is sort of 3 under perhaps through a few holes, and the gap is closed, then perhaps. But you got to think of it this way. You talk about, I'm going to use Bryson's 67 quip. And I talked about that on air, and I didn't realize I was going to get so much response from it because a bunch of folks talked about it after. I was like, just let your clubs do the talking. Don't talk to me about, or don't tell me what par is for you. Let your clubs prove to me what par is for you. But here's the thing about DJ. On this golf course, if he just does what he normally does on the par 5s, that's 3 under already. And then if he avoids disaster on where the disastrous holes, 5 if you're driving the
12,
bunch, you won't do. Yeah, 12, 11, 10, 11, 12, and that's kind of it. Then he's already shooting like 70 or 69 or so. And that's going to put him at 19, which is a tournament record. I don't think anyone will get to there. So as far as I'm concerned, it can happen. It's always possible. We've seen it with Greg Norman. I mean, he had a massive lead, and Felder shot 65, and Greg shot whatever it was. Or Felder shot 67, I can't recall. But I think this is a coronation tomorrow, and I think it's well-deserved, and I think it's going to galvanize the fact that he is a Hall of Famer. You know, he was going to go in anyway because of what he's done, but people don't take him seriously because he's DJ, and he's like, whatever, you know, I'm going to hit a golf ball, and I'll make a lot of money, and I'll have a win once, twice, and blah, blah, blah. The guy is seriously talented, and he belongs in the Hall of Fame. And tomorrow he's going to earn that place and now be a 2-time major champion.
Greg, the difference between 1 major championship and 2 major championship chips is big. I also think it's bigger for DJ when you have as many victories as he does and only 1 major title on the resume.
Yeah, it's huge. It means a lot to him. And it's a Masters too. If you have a US Open and a Masters, that's just awesome. So, but look, a 4-shot lead. If he goes out and he's even par through 11 holes, it's a very good chance that he does not have a 4-shot lead. He's even through 11, which can easily happen, right? You can make maybe a 3-putt. Maybe you don't take advantage of a tough hole location at number 2 or number 8 or wherever, and all of a sudden you're even par through 11. Can easily happen. and nobody's really pushing you, but you have a 3-shot lead or a 2-shot lead. What's in your mind there? I mean, that is all of a sudden you have this one shot where everything can go away. It's not like this is a 6-shot lead where he's got cushion and even par is going to get it done. There's a very good chance that even par is in a playoff. I think there'll be a 68 out there, likely a 67. One of these 3 guys is going to go out and play and shoot a very good round. It's likely Justin Thomas goes out and shoots a very good round. So he's got to be under par through 11 holes. I think if he's under par through 11 holes, you're going to see a victory lap.
That's a good observation, Kyle. I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here, but with Augusta National playing as soft as what it is, and look, it did firm up today, but it's still soft. The mystery of the place has been taken out. And when it's firm and fast, that's when numbers become real. When you hit the ball on the wrong side of a slope and all of a sudden you're putting from 50 feet, or it's released off the green, or on 15, you've hit it on the green, it's spun back, it goes in the water, that sort of stuff. That's not happening. So that means with these fairways playing wider, with the greens playing wider because they're more receptive, with the slopes being mitigated just slightly because it's so receptive, it's going to make it really hard. You're going to have to chase him down. I don't think he's coming back.
With so many close calls over the years, KP, there's still a tiny bit of maybe trepidation that I think, but this is a different version of DJ. He just looks complete. He looks unstoppable. And how are you? Are you just going to follow him around all 18 tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, given his history at majors, I expect one of the drones to fall out of the sky and this or something, and that's how he loses the Masters. Here's the thing that people. So we talk about, he blows 54-hole leads, he doesn't hold on. I mean, listen to this: 2015 U.S. Open, he holds the 54-hole lead, shoots 70, loses. 2018 U.S. Open, he holds the 54-hole lead, shoots 70, loses. 2020 PGA Championship, he holds the 54-hole lead, shoots 68, and loses. If he shoots any of those numbers tomorrow, it's over. He's not losing. And I think that it's already over. I think we think about him blowing 54-hole leads, but it's not like he shot 78.
Yeah.
He's shooting 70, 68. It's not. I think we have sort of we don't frame like him blowing these majors in the right way sometimes. Now, does stuff happen to him? Does he kind of give away some stuff? For sure, but it's not like he's going out and shooting 78, 79 to lose majors. So I think with the guys that are chasing him, I mean, what's the path to like a JT 66 and DJ would have to shoot even? I think if he's under par at all, then it's probably over.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out.
It feels kind of like Tony Romo to me, where he's got great numbers, he plays great, but he fumbled a snap on an extra point and loses a game, and he gets known to be a loser. When there's a lot more that goes into it than him just losing, right? He's a great player and he plays great in those final rounds, to your point, Kyle, but something happens and he doesn't win. And it's like, what's going to happen this time? Kind of a question, but I tend to think you guys are right.
He's got a single-story house, so he's good. What do you think, Greg?
He's going to. I think he's going to be wearing the jacket tomorrow.
How about you, Rick?
Crown him. Let's do it. What size jacket does he wear? Let's get it made up tonight. He'll be ready to rock and roll tomorrow evening. And you can watch it all on CBS. For those of you in the United States, on Saturday, Jacob. Okay, here we go. I got the wrong stuff here, Jacob. This is from Saturday. You can watch it all on CBS streaming. It's on masters.com. It's all great stuff. 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time. Mark, Amen Corner coverage tomorrow?
Amen Corner coverage. I think we are on the air at 8 a.m. Well, I better find this out so I'm not late. Yeah, on the air at 8 a.m. 2 T start. They're off in threes. So I heard something about the last shot is planned to be hit at 2:45 or so. No, hold on, 1:45 or something early. So we're on early. 2 T starts. Come and watch us. CBSSports.com, Masters.com, and of course CBS. The early tea times on the main show.
There you go. Or the CBS Sports app. We will be back after the final round to break it all down. But for now, let me thank Greg Ducharme, who you can find on Twitter at TheRealGFD. Let me thank Mark Immelmann, who you can find at Mark_Immelmann. Let me thank Kyle Porter, who you can find at Kyle Porter CBS. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.